So my name is Andrea, and I am going to be presenting on a more accessible farmers market. And I came to this topic because I've always enjoyed visiting farmers markets, and during my time there, I noticed that there were not a lot of people who looked like me, and there wasn't really a lot of diversity in the crowd there. And I started to wonder kind of why this was. And in one of our courses prior to being online, there was a class discussion about people of color in spaces that they're not usually a part of in regards to hiking and camping. And it got me thinking about how people of color are not often in these places, and it's not because they don't want to be, but because they do not have the access to be. And access will be defined as the opportunity to use and benefit from something. The lack of diversity in farmers markets can be tied to the many markets not accepting welfare benefits. Having farmers markets accept welfare allows people to access local and better food, resulting in a mutually beneficial relationship between farmers and the community. And there is an obvious lack in diversity in farmers markets, and this means that many groups are missing out and do not have access to the benefits of the farmers markets. And with the acceptance of SNAP and WIC benefits and various other programs that are in place currently, they're really helping to ease this gap. It allows them to have local and better food. Farmers markets are also very social places to gather, and they create a sense of community, which leads to the beneficial relationship between farmers and their communities. Now, why farmers markets? Farmers markets are very diverse and vary from location to location. Some of them focus specifically on items like milk and eggs and produce, while others have baked goods and flowers and a lot of handmade crafts. And they really stand out because they're local to the community. When a person shops at a regular grocery store, it is not likely that they'll know where their food is coming from, and they're not always sure about how far the item had to travel to arrive. It's just not something that comes to mind. They do not know how some of the items in the grocery store are made, and when shopping at farmers markets, it becomes a completely different experience for them. People are able to know what they are getting and if it was sourced locally, and they're guaranteed that it's fresh and oftentimes it's organic. Knowing where food comes from is a big priority for a lot of shoppers, and they may not always be able to know if they're at the grocery store. I sent out a survey and conducted research, and only 9% of shoppers know where their items are when purchased at a grocery store, and that's in comparison to 42.3% of shoppers who know where their items come from when shopping at a supermarket. And that's one of the main reasons that people love going there. And also just the social aspect, the human interaction. And this allows people to feel good about what they're putting into their bodies. And they know that they're able to support real businesses, find vegan options, find quality produce, friendly farmers, and they're able to try new things. And that's something that they're not able to do at a regular grocery store like Safeway or our local one, Oliver's. Many of the items at the stores come from large producers, and it's putting small farmers out of business, and they'd no longer be able to make a profit on their land. Distributors like Safeway sell produce from companies like Driscoll, a brand that has been known to not pay their workers. They often just choose to not pay them at all. This is a place where a local grocery store like Oliver's surpasses Safeway. They partner with Feed Sonoma, which is an organization that purchases produce from local farmers. Their items are then taken to the Oliver's shelves, and they're able to earn a fair profit from participating in something like this. When doing my research, I wanted to hear about people who were around me and their opinions on the topic. So I conducted a survey which received 78 responses, and the takers of the survey were various age ranges ranging from 15 to 64. So while at the farmers market myself, I noticed that the group that was there was predominantly white, and this chart also confirmed my observations during that time. It shows that most people, when asked which group they see the most, 67.9% of respondents reported that they see white people there the most. And the takers of the survey were 46.2% white, 21.8% Asian, and 19.2% Latino. The other groups were significantly smaller and include mixed race, Black, African American, and whatever the other people chose to identify as. And I feel like this is important because it can cause certain groups to not feel like it is their place. They may not feel welcome to come to farmers markets when they may want to, and it can lead to a new unfamiliar situation and make them feel even more uncomfortable there. While the average person goes to the grocery store about twice a week, they visit the farmers market about once every 3 weeks. The amount of advertising for farmers markets varies greatly by location and neighborhood. Through my own research survey, I found that 19.2% of people do not see any form of advertising for farmers markets, and 33.3% rarely see any. This means that about half the people are not even aware of markets that are near them in the neighborhood. But also, if they're not seeing advertisements, it's likely that they don't even live near a farmers market. It may not be a predominant place to shop in their community, and they don't have access to one. For those who do see the advertisements, they are seen anywhere. They're on Facebook, bulletin boards, in their neighborhoods, stores, gyms, bus stops, libraries, Instagram, school campuses. The farmers also work to spread the word with the people that they meet in their daily lives. So word of mouth has been a really big deal for increasing this in the community. Overall, word of mouth is the best way to attract people to farmers markets, hence emphasizing the importance of community. Then there's access, and access is the opportunity to use and benefit from something. In more recent years, there has been an increase in farmers markets partnering to bring fresh, nutritious food to low-income communities. A way that they've been doing this was by using two well-recognized welfare benefits: Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, and the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, known as WIC. 22% of households of color experience hunger, and that's over twice the amount of white households. And they're most likely to live in food deserts without supermarkets, which limits their options of what they're able to buy. Many times they're forced to purchase their groceries at corner stores, which inhibits the ability to access fresh and local food, further worsening the problem. In order to have access to fresh food at the farmers market, people have to know about it first. That means that they are aware of one and it's close to them and in their community. They also have a way to get there after that. And if they are not able to arrive easily, it can be difficult carrying back what they have bought. The price of goods also has to be accessible to them, which is where the SNAP benefits come in. If they are not able to actually pay for them, then that can help them get there. Now, what can the farmers markets be doing better? Though there have been a lot of large improvements, there's always room for more. One of them would be increasing the availability of people to translate. There's always the possibility that those who are visiting have a language barrier. And based on my own research, I found this to be a popular suggestion for increasing access to the market. One of the main things that farmers markets stand for is community. This would allow this value to be more prominent in the area. Farmers markets are seen as not only a place to exchange goods, but a way to interact with others. With other grocery stores such as Safeway or Oliver's, it is easy to go in and not speak to anyone. Most of them now have another option where you can even check yourself out, and there's no need for any conversation. But that's what sets farmers markets apart. There are also organizations such as a mobile pantry run by the Alameda County Community Food Bank, and it brings people in need food to their area. And most importantly, these are handed out bi-monthly free of charge. A system like this could possibly be implemented into farmers markets. At most farmers markets already, the last hour of the sale day, everything is at a lower price. This food could go for an even lower price for those planning to use their benefits, similar to different systems that are already in place for them. And this would allow people to receive even more for what they pay. A lot of people of color are actually generationally closer to working the land than a lot of, for lack of a better term, white hipsters. And yet, it's middle-class educated white folks who think that they need to come into communities of color to educate them. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez began a rooftop garden in the Bronx, New York. Community gardens often fail early on, and this is due to the fact that it is often outsiders from the community that are coming in and dictating the ways that things should be done. They don't allow the community that they are entering to lead the way. An example brought up for this was going into a predominantly white community and saying that they're going to start a new garden. This new garden would contain things like plantains and yucca, things that are not really commonly on the palate for this group of people, and they don't really know how to cook. While it's a good idea, it's not easy, and it would become more of a hobby than actual use, and then they would not benefit from it. One of the keys to access is not only being able to have something, but to also benefit from it. The same idea can easily be translated into farmers markets. If the same farmer market vendors come to different neighborhoods, they may not be successful with the items they already have. But if different farmers come to these areas, and it can really help with increasing diversity at the market and letting these people get the things that they need. Food insecurity and access to fresh foods remains a critical issue in the United States. Many individuals, especially those who are of lower income and from minority communities, are more likely to face these obstacles. Farmers markets can provide a remedy for that issue. Since farmers markets are often temporary and mobile, it is easy to bring them to certain places regularly once the permitting process is done. This could be an opportunity for farmers markets to be held in a neighborhood that is known as a food desert or underserved by traditional grocers. By accepting welfare benefits as payments at farmers markets, this can also help with the issue of access of fresh foods while supporting local farmers, creating a closer community.